Hello and welcome back to Brickworld for another update from my little Lego city. And today I want to continue exactly where we left off last time, which means yesterday. Specifically, in this area up front, I want to finish the connection to the end of the table here. We started building the road upwards here, we did a few other things, and that's where we want to continue today. I thought that this is actually the perfect technique. We will continue building there, and we will make sure to lead the sidewalk upwards as well, and to adjust the entire building accordingly. So definitely stay tuned. And as so often, we will first add a new base plate, in this case a 32x32 one here, because we still need a bit of space here to continue working on the street and also with the tracks. And I thought about making the whole thing a bit more interesting in quotes. As you can see, I've already worked a bit further. I have led the second track upwards, and in the middle I now have this, well, let's just call it a striped pattern, simply to bring something a bit more interesting to the street. Here in the middle I will put some kind of concrete separation, some partition wall, etc. install, simply to separate the two lanes a bit more. But personally, I find it visually quite nice, considering it's a street, of course. You can also see that I've already started working a bit here and there with the tiles, simply to see how I can better design the transition, but we will continue working on this whole area here now. And I think that is actually the best idea to gradually move upwards here. And here you can see in the next cut the concrete wall that I have planned. Just a small, well, it's just a grey block, but I think it fits quite well. It's often used as a separation between larger roads. And here in the front I tried to shape it a bit to match the form of the stripes in front to make it a little more interesting, of course. I also considered adding greenery on top, but I thought that might be a bit too much green again. And over here you can see I've started to think about how I'm going to handle the building. I had to remove this decorative strip at the bottom, and I inserted dark grey, which is dark blue, grey bricks, so that we can gradually extend the sidewalk upwards, allowing the entire building to adapt to it. It's not as problematic as I originally thought. However, quite a few bricks are still being used because I'm making it 3 plates thick to ensure that this ramp is relatively stable, as most of it actually exists over air, empty space, and therefore you have to be a bit careful to make the whole thing more stable. A little speed build in between, you mainly see tiles again. I've also added some damage, a bit of greenery, here and there a few tiles, in a different color tone and a bit of wear or damage, etc. to represent. And quite a few bricks are used there as well, because road construction is something where you feel like you're building and building and building and not making progress, because it just consumes an incredible amount of bricks. But in the end, I find the brick-built road much better, of course, because you obviously have much more flexibility than when you use pre-made elements. Everything you see here, the roundabout, the road itself, its width, including the tram tracks, would of course not be possible with standard road plates or normal road systems that LEGO offers, and that's where it's obviously much more flexible. Another topic that some have mentioned is the lighting here above the entrance of the Pineapple store. I tried it out here now. I used a pink light here because there's a lot of this pink in the commercials above. But personally, I don't like it at all. It's way too pink. It just doesn't fit. It looks really strange. So I switched to using a strip light in cool white. And I think that's much better and fits much better with the overall design of the store, with the building. And I believe that's the better solution. Previously, if you look back now, or watch the last video, you'll see that we had a single warm white light there. That didn't look so good. We'll take another look at that in a moment because I haven't changed the other door yet to show you a bit of the difference. But you can see now that some new residents have also moved in here. I also have a cyclist here. We now have over 1,200 minifigures in the city, and it just brings a nice life into it when you do a bit of storytelling, so to speak. Right here at the sidewalks, you can also see very nicely here how the slope gradually goes up. That just adds a bit more realism to the whole story rather than everything being on the same level. And Yeskin, different height gradients, not just 90 degrees, make it so that the whole city doesn't look like a standard Lego city, but rather brings in shapes. You can see it very nicely here. We have many round shapes, we have other angular shapes. We simply have different shapes. We build everything a bit realistically so that it also looks realistic. And the piece of road we created today, in my eyes, helps enormously to advance the whole thing a bit. Another topic someone mentioned in the comments was that perhaps a kind of barricade should be placed here because you are not allowed to drive in from the roundabout, only to drive out. To block off the right area a bit, with a warning so that no one ends up driving in here. But on the other side, you can still drive out without any problems. Even the buses can drive out here. Whether this is the perfect implementation of the whole thing, I'm not entirely sure yet, but I actually find it quite nice. Perhaps the concrete element could be made a bit narrower, maybe also designed a bit more attractively. But all in all, I think it was a good idea, which I was happy to implement. And here again, it adds a small detail to the whole story. And you can now also see very nicely how everything is gradually coming together here. A completely different topic down here. I want to lead the cables over, so to speak, under the ground in the module. The problem is this cable, this HDMI cable, cannot be bent the way I want it to. So I have now bought these 90-degree connectors. They have a huge advantage. Now I can plug in the screen at the bottom and then I'm directly at a 90-degree angle and can nicely lead the cable over here. When we lead the cables over here in one of the many upcoming future updates, but I've already got it so that I can think about how exactly to lead the cable over in the foreseeable future. But that is definitely a problem. A point that is important. Here you can see again, I already mentioned it earlier, the light, which was the old light. It was a spot in, well, it's warm white, and now I have a double spot in cool white. I think it looks significantly better, much more fitting. And because I wished for it last time, I have now turned off the light here in the room again. We are now, so to speak, in night mode. It's not completely dark outside, but it's close. Night mode. I'm trying to adjust the camera a bit right now to make it look realistic, but it's actually a bit difficult. It's almost a bit too bright now. It's almost a bit darker. So the city, yes, it does bring quite a bit of light into the room. So you can stay in the room without having light apart from the city, but you can already see a bit how all the colors are coming together here. The light, the new light here at the entrance, the screen here, the lighting from the roundabout, and also now the new piece of road, and I think it all fits together quite well. We now really have 2 meters of track here, from one side to the other up to the gap here in the city, and the whole size you don't really see. I feel like in the videos you don't really see how much space it all takes up now. But I think we've accomplished quite a bit today, and we still have quite a bit to do, but step by step we're making progress. Everything is gradually coming together. I'm glad that things are finally progressing, even here in the city. I think you also like that there have been a few more updates now, and it will definitely continue like this. I want to keep making progress here. In the city, there will still be a few other projects on the side because I simply enjoy doing them. But the city will naturally remain the focus. Until next time, goodbye.